Should you or should you not get lowering springs? Now, I recently bought H&R springs for my Audi S4, and I've had a lot of people ask me how I have had or how the experience has been with them so far. I've had them on for I think about 2 weeks. It lowered the car about an inch and a half in the front and in the rear, and so I'm going to be covering it in today's video, my experience with them, and whether I think you should or should not get them. Now, first of all, this is my only car. This is my daily driver, and it's just my everything vehicle. I use it for everything I do. Um, and so I did want to have it lowered a little bit, but I also live in the Midwest and the roads around me are not the greatest. And so I have to start off by first saying if you live in an area with not the greatest roads, you have to understand that as soon as you get lowering springs, you're going to feel every little bump, every little crack, every little pothole, everything you can think of. It's the car is going to feel it, and you will feel it in your seat. My experience has not been great with these ride wise, because it does not drive comfortable at all anymore. It feels like a truck. It feels very bricky. There's no comfortability when it comes to these lowering springs, especially for the S4. Now I had the same exact springs on my A6, and they were not as bad. I think that's a lot to do with this type of car. I think the S4 already is just more sporty and spring wise. It's not built for comfortability. It's built for a sport car, and the A6 is a little more luxury, so the springs are probably a bit more comfortable. But overall, with these springs, you feel everything in these with these springs. I mean, every little bump, crack, everything you can think of, this car will feel it, and it definitely does not ride very comfortable anymore. So, if you daily drive your car and you're looking to lower it, just consider and know that your car is going to probably not ride the best, depending on the type of car. If you have an S model, it's probably not going to ride the best. If you have an RS model, it might ride a little bit better, especially if you have like an R7 or an R6. Those things, they ride much more comfortably. But if you have an S model, specifically like an S4 or an S5, just know that your ride is going to be pretty rough after lowering it. Now, what I would recommend instead of doing springs is I would recommend saving up and actually doing coilovers. Now, coilovers are a much simpler process when it comes to install, and they're adjustable. I'll put up a picture of the difference between a spring and the difference between a coilover. Coilover basically is just the whole unit in one versus just taking out the strut house and then just replacing the spring onto the OEM strut. But I would highly recommend just saving up and getting coilovers. They are a lot more expensive than springs normally, but ride wise, you can get a much better result as far as the fitment, as far as the way it rides, and all together, I think coilovers are a much better purchase than springs. But I won't lie, I'm on a bit of a budget, and I also know that H&R springs are very good because I already had them in my 6, and so I had no problem with getting lowering springs again. Now the ride obviously was a lot different than from my A6, but they still look amazing. I love the fitment. I have nothing to complain about overall. I know what I was getting into ride wise and how it was going to ride, but overall I can't complain with the way they look or the fitment. So I will show the fitment now. It looks much better. I'll put up a photo of what it used to look like compared to now, and the fitment is incredible for a daily driver, especially in the Midwest where I get snow and all that kind of stuff, and the roads aren't that great. This is as low as it's gonna get. Um, any lower, and I mean, I would rub, or I wouldn't even be able to drive it on most roads. So I think this is about as low as it's gonna be able to get, and I just overall am in love with the look of this. I do recommend lowering springs if you have a project car, especially if you don't want to spend as much money or just something you're not daily driving. I highly recommend doing lowering springs in that case because you will not have to fear the potholes or cracks as much. Obviously, if you're not driving the car anywhere near like you daily, I definitely recommend getting lowering springs. But if you are going to use this as your daily driver, I do recommend just saving up a little bit more and doing coilovers. There's some really good coilovers for right around 12 to maybe 1500 bucks, and just overall it would make a much better comfortable ride for your daily. So use this information as you will. If you are trying to save money, especially like I was, I really didn't care to get coilovers. I wanted a better fitment, a better look. I don't care about the ride as much. Some people do, but use this information as you would. If you need something that's more comfortable and you're going to daily drive, especially if your roads around you are not as good, definitely I would recommend coilovers. If you don't care as much about the way it's going to ride and you just want a better fitment, definitely do lowering springs. I think H&R and even 034 make really good springs for Audis overall. And so I would definitely check out H&R for the price, and 034 Motorsports. All right, so that's my video on springs. If you have any other kind of questions, definitely drop a comment below, and please subscribe, check out my channels, and thank you for watching.